Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, folks. We got a lot to talk about as some breaking news has come across the wire around Fani Willis, the district attorney out of the state of Georgia, how she has finally admitted to having a relationship with the prosecutor that she assigned to that Trump case. What will happen next? We'll certainly talk a little bit about what's going on with the latest with this case and so much more. Also, folks, let's talk about teachers being afraid to teach Black history this year, as there are a number of districts across the country and a lot of states that are pushing back on teaching about racism. What does that mean for the classroom? We'll have that conversation on the other side. Also, let's continue to talk a little bit about the work that young people are doing excuse me, in the city and in around the country. And I got some stuff for you later on about joy and happiness. So stay with us. We got a lot to talk about on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Friday, folks. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week, and very, very excited to have these conversations with you as we're streaming live on our website, blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network and drop something in the bucket to support us in this digital space that we are embarking upon as we have these conversations. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming on Amazon platforms. Check us out on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're also on the Amazon Prime Video app. So you can check us out on the Prime Video app under Live TV, The News, and or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, The News. We'll have that. You can check us out there. Also, we're on the Freevee network. So you can find us on now under News on Freevee, and we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, The News and Opinions. Folks. Also, we're streaming on Roland Martin's social media pages. On Roland Martin's Facebook page, you can find us there. So big shout out to the Culture Crew on the Facebook page. Also, we're on streaming on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. So big shout out to the crew on the YouTube page as they're checking in from around the country. We're going to be hearing from them in a few minutes as well. And of course, big shout out to the crew on the X platform as we have these conversations. So much is going on, but we have to bring you first and foremost the latest news, the news that got everybody talking, which is the situation around Miss Fani Willis. How it has been determined by the down in Fulton County, how she has acknowledged on today for her romantic relationship with the special prosecutor, Mr. Nathan Wade. But she says she is not stepping down from the election fraud case against former President Donald Trump and 14 others because she has done nothing wrong. So this is some of the big news that's just hit the wires just a little bit before we started the show today. And we wanted to certainly talk a little bit about this. As you know, here on The Culture, we've been doing our part, just kind of following the developments of this case and looking at the impact of district attorney, how she's handled this particular situation. And more importantly, how does this play into bringing the former president and his associates to justice? So let's talk a little bit about that. And crew, I would love to get your take on this as we talk about District Attorney Fani Willis finally admitting that she did have a personal romantic relationship with the prosecutor she assigned to the case, Mr. Nathan Wade. Just to kind of bring you up to speed on that, you also know that we also have been pretty privy, based on the reports, that Mr. Wade was able to earn over $650,000 as a result of him working on the case. And of course, with the romantic relationship now being acknowledged, it brings up a lot of questions of how this whole thing came about, and more importantly, whether that $650,000, the fact that he was assigned to this case, was this all a part of some planning between her and Mr. Wade? So there are still a lot of unanswered questions to this situation, but this is certainly a bombshell of a development in this particular case. I want to check in now with my sister, Kimberly Morrow, one of our great new contributors here on The Culture. Kimberly Morrow, she is an educator, she's an author, she's a speaker, and get some insight from her. Also, we're going to be joined by my sister, Corinna Denise, as well. I see my sister is checked in right now, so we got Corinna on as well, who's always changing her hair on Fridays.
Hey,
always changing her hair. There we go. Looking fantastic. But first, happy Friday. Oh boy. We try. Can we?
You started it.
Let's talk a little bit about Miss Fani Willis, District Attorney Fani Willis. First and foremost, let me start with you, Kimberly. What's your take of this? How do we make sense of this all? I think there's the overarching question is why? Why did she decide to make this decision on such a pivotal case, such a big moment? Why? All right. Talk to me, Kimberly. Share your thoughts.
All right. So, first of all, she's a human being.
Right. Right.
People. That's just what it is. Second of all, trust me, I'm sure she hasn't done anything that other white male district attorneys in her position have not done, as far as throwing bones or throwing jobs to people that they know. That stuff goes on all the time. But here's the bigger issue. Here's the bigger problem, Farajii. What Michael Roman did was plan to deflect and distract. What it is, and what has it done? It's got all of us, we're deflecting. Now we're looking at Fani. We're no longer looking at Michael Roman. We're no longer looking at Trump and all the defendants. Now we're looking at her. Now we're all distracted. And at the end of the day, it is not going legally, it's not going to remove her from the case because she did not do anything that is going to hinder the defendant's case, period.
No, okay.
Under Georgia law. Let's be clear. Under Georgia law.
She did not break the law, but I think the issue becomes, Kimberly and Corinna, ethically. It's just ethically doesn't work. And it's not to say that what she did on the case, how she rendered that judgment on the case should be like either, taken back or should be removed or anything. But I'm just talking about the ethics of it. The ethics of it is you put your lover on a case, and this is not about Donald Trump. This is about the fact that you put tax, and this is what I've been reading because of some of the concerns that some of the leaders in the state of Georgia. This is taxpayers' money of $650,000 that's going to a man who is your lover. And then not only did you open up that door for money to be funneled into your lover, then you're taking trips, and the affair element starts to play out with how that money is being used. So I think the ethics of it is going to be the problem for a lot of people. Corinna, what's your take on that? You're on mute, Corinna. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that, y'all. I'm just like, damn, breaking news. I wasn't expecting this. It kind of.
I wasn't either. We weren't either, Corinna.
Right, like the show just started, but yeah, I definitely need to learn more about it to speak more, accurately about it. But what I will say is, I think we need to clarify some things. Is this someone that she is still in a relationship with or no longer in a relationship with? How long ago that happened? And unfortunately, yeah, to your point, Farajii, the ethics of it, it does look away. But at the end of the day, I'm sure she's not the only one. It's just unfortunately, with Black people, especially Black women, that magnifying glass is 10 times more sharp. So, they were going to be digging for stuff regardless. But I think it's very ironic how, she's under the microscope, right? And to Kimberly's point, look at Donald Trump. Talk about this person who is on the ballot, right? The fact that he could even just file the paperwork, right?
That part right there.
Our president, again, tells you everything that we need to know about what's happening in this country. But it's just so unfortunate that this turned out to be true. So I just don't know how things are going to fold out moving forward. But I hope that this should not affect the case. I would imagine, or would like to think, there are some boundaries as far as, like who she could appoint. And I would imagine there's some other things that have to be considered, like how long ago, did this relationship occur prior to the case. And I don't know, she probably might have just been thinking this is the best person to put in charge of the case, and whatever relationship she had with him was probably in the back of her mind. Although, yeah, I guess it could have been something that she definitely could have considered, and it's unfortunate. You got to think that way, like, well, let me dot my I's and cross my T's, because I know they're going to be on the, let's just use Tangerine Tyrant's favorite word, witch hunt, right? Which they have been in digging up dirt. And unfortunately, it's something that turned out to be true. So it's just like, what is this going to look like moving forward? But you know what? They were going to find something anyways. Let's just be real, or make it up. And they are successfully distracting from the trial, and especially because we are in an election year. So yeah, damn, like that's how I feel about it.
That's how you feel. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's get some comments from you as Culture Crew folks. We're talking about the big breaking news coming out of Atlanta, Georgia, where District Attorney Fani Willis has acknowledged her personal relationship with the prosecutor, Mr. Nathan Wade, the same prosecutor she assigned to the Trump election interference case, the same prosecutor who earned money as a result of working on that case, and how this is creating a lot of new problems for the district attorney, where some people are saying that she should be removed from handling this case. Other people are calling for a dismissal of the charges against the former president and his 14 associates. And others are saying she should stay on this case because it doesn't matter. It's a personal relationship. It does not take away from the facts of the election interference case. What say you, crew? Stay with us. Post your comments as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube channel and Roland Martin's Facebook page. And stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sisters that we have joining us every Friday. Kimberly Morrow, who is a principal, who is an educator, who is a speaker. And then we got my sister, Corinna Denise, who is one of our great culture crew members. She's also a college admissions advisor and political activist. Talking about this breaking news out of Atlanta, Georgia, with District Attorney Fani Willis finally acknowledging and admitting that she had, I don't know whether we can say had or still has, but she had a relationship, personal, intimate relationship with the same prosecutor she assigned to the case of former President Trump's election interference case. Now, this again, and I see what a lot of you are saying in the chat or in front crew. I see what a lot of folks are talking about. But Kimberly, Corinna, I'm looking at things how they are, not what I hope and wish for them to be, right? You know, that's my thing for 2024. See things as how they are. How they are is that even though that this is two separate issues, one is a personal issue and the other one deals with the state of democracy, it still comes down to ethics and good judgment. Now, does that mean that Fani Willis is a terrible human being? No, it does not. What that does mean, though, is that it opens up the door about how she moves, right? And we can't deny that. And we can't, especially when public trust is involved and public funds are involved, right? We as Black folks can't just be like, well, white people do it, therefore we should be able to do it too. Because then where is the standard? Where is the boundaries for us?
Well, there's also an unspoken rule, right, Farajii, that they could do it, but we can't. You know, we.
Hey, wait a minute, but hey, Corinna, is that the truth?
Mm.
It's unspoken rule because guess what? It's the truth, Kimberly. It's the truth. We can't move. We can't move the same way, especially when you're talking about. Look. We could talk about Trump and we could say, oh, this man has all this stuff, there's all this baggage. He should not be allowed on here. But guess what? Nobody has stopped him. He's still going to want to be the GOP nominee. But at the end of the day, we still are seen and have to operate by a different standard, Kimberly. That's just the truth of it. And I know that's hard for some Black folks to that's a hard pill for us to swallow, but
No, I'm not saying that that is not true, Farajii. I understand we have to be twice as good to get half as much. I get all that. But here's my issue with us, particularly. She did it. She owned it. She made a mistake. But we want to, she needs to be off the case now. We need to get somebody else. Do you know how much pressure that is to always have to be perfect, always do everything the right way? I know I'm no Fani Willis, but I lived that. When you're in a position of power or authority, and you're the only Black person in that position, and particularly the only Black woman, and you know everybody has eyes on you, and you cannot make a mistake. And when you do make a mistake, you get ripped for it. There is no forgiveness. There's no coming back. There's no redemption. That's my only issue, Farajii. We have to give this woman some grace and allow her. She made a mistake. She has admitted that she made a mistake. We need to continue to support her and let her do her job. That's where I'm coming from. Not to say we have to know better. Of course we have to know better. But we're going to slip up. And when we do, you cannot crucify us for it. You know, she slipped up.
Okay, she slipped up.
And you know what?
No. Here's what I'm saying. And I understand. I don't think Black America will crucify her. I know white America, especially those in the MAGA camp, will crucify her, right?
Some of Black America is also going to crucify her.
We are crucifying her. Silence is violence. I've seen a number of white liberals come out on YouTube to support her. Attorneys come out on YouTube to explain why she's not breaking the law, and why this is their case to get it thrown out. It doesn't adhere to the standard. I've seen that. I have not seen us do that. That's my only issue. So I'm not saying that we're going after her, but we're also not coming out swinging for her. And
let me ask y'all a question.
Do more of that.
Let me ask you a question. If this was a different setting, instead of being in the court, I'm trying to get to this very simple point. In this particular case, she served as the supervisor. Nathan Wade served as her subordinate. Are we saying that's okay?
Is he her subordinate, or is he one of her colleagues? I mean,
he's a colleague, but technically she's over him because she assigned him to the case.
Okay. You know, if I may just jump in here real quick, here's my thing. I hear everything you're saying, Farajii. I hear everything Kimberly is saying. But I just don't want us to fall for the okie doke. Now, I'm glad that at least she admitted it, because I think it would be a lot worse if the opposition were the ones to, bring this to light, even though they were already investigating. But I don't want us to get caught up in tearing her down. And that's what I mean.
I don't think this is about tearing it down.
No. But just hear me out for a second. What I'm saying is that I don't want us to get distracted, right? I don't want to disparage what she has just admitted to. I'm not doing that. But their game is for us to get so caught up in this that we lose sight of what is already happening with the proceedings of the case. And I think two things can be true at once. So we have to remain focused on the case just as much as this is happening now. And with all of this work, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she went to work from day one, she got into this position. So, what are we going to do now? Wait? There's so many other things to consider. So we have to kind of weigh our options here. But I do hear you, is this appropriate that she had this relationship, and what's the conflict of interest? I don't know if we actually know all the fine print of that. Now, I mean, from the outside looking in, right? Yeah, it's questionable. You put somebody on the case, or even is it a matter of just ethics even at work? You shouldn't be having, personal romantic relationships.
No.
So,
no. Look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and y'all should know this about me at this point. But for those who don't, I do not care about people's personal lives and who they sleep with and who they go home to. I really don't care.
Me neither.
The problem becomes that once you start putting yourself out there, right? Like I said, this is taxpayers' money. So even for black people in the state of Georgia who paid their taxes, who is expecting, and the taxpayers' money is being used to prosecute against the former president, and then you have the receipts of trips being taken, stuff being done. The optics look like, oh, she got him on the case to enrich herself. That's the optics. That's just the optics. I'm not talking about, we know Trump is guilty. We already know that. But now I'm saying this is a lesson for Black America at this point. This is what I'm looking at. This is going to be a lesson for Black America, because are we saying that it's okay to move like this as long as you get somebody that we don't like, as long as you get them? But I mean, what are we saying here? Because I'm still talking about, yes, there's a weakness. I'm not mad at that. Look, the sister can have weakness. The sister has needs, all of those things. I'm just saying, you got money involved, you got power involved, you have an influence involved. And even though we want to see Trump taken down, and we know that the stakes are super high for this case, this was not the moment to make a unethical or lazy or just a bad decision.
So let's be very clear. The unethical part is putting someone who she was romantically involved with in charge of this case.
No, the unethical part is you could do that, but then once the money situation comes in, because then it comes across that once the money, if you're paying the person that you are romantically involved with and he's getting money, and then you are taking trips.
So I have a question. So if you're paying me, the Fulton County gave him a check, his law firm a check, he received compensation for his job. So now we dictate what he does with his money, with his salary. I'm confused here. I can't take a trip and spend my money on what I want to spend my money on? But let me ask you a question. Would you have gotten it? Here's the thing, Cordell. Wait a minute, hold on, Kimberly, real quick. Do you think Mr. Wade would have been put on this case if Fani Willis was not overseeing this particular case? Based on his limited, they're saying, and again, we don't know because we're not in this space, but they're saying because of his limited experience in handling high-profile racketeering cases such as this, if Fani wasn't on this particular case, would Nathan Wade been chosen? Well, here's what the research that I've been doing has been told me that number one, he has experience. He's been a judge, but these racketeering cases are not cases in which many attorneys have tried. So this is a new case that you're not going to find a lot of attorneys who've tried this type of case anyway. And the fact that many attorneys turned her down because of the Trump base who goes after them and threatens them. So it's a catch-22 situation. Maybe she hired him because a lot of people said no.
I think that is something to take into account.
We will have to see, Kimberly, to be honest with you, we will have to see, right?
But and how again, they paint in this picture too. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's just so many things that you have to look at it all around. And I think Kimberly brought up a good point. Maybe he wasn't the first choice, but considering how everyone is threatening, you're fearful for your life, all of those things played a factor. Maybe he was the one who was willing to. Now, I'm not saying that makes it okay or it doesn't. But what I am saying is that is very much a reality. And I think it's something we have to take into consideration. But furthermore, Farajii, and I'm just going to end here, I struggle with this because I still need to know more. I mean, I was just reading this morning that Justin Jones, the GOP legislature in Tennessee, they want him to resign because he wouldn't lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, they just gonna find any way.
And so that's my point. Hey, Coretta, and that's my point. That is my point. Look, man. Look. That's my point exactly. Because it's just so much. There's too much at stake, right? There's so much that we are battling right now. And I'm not saying that people can't make mistakes. I'm really not saying it. I'm just saying that it's so much at stake here. If Justin Jones, just an example you just provided, if Justin Jones can be scrutinized for not saying the Pledge of Allegiance, if Claudine Gay can get kicked out supposedly, allegedly for plagiarism, even though Harvard said that wasn't the case, but the big time donors said no, she needs to be moved. She needs to be moved. This is all allegations. And these are small allegations compared to this, right? There was no money. There was no, it wasn't any of that. But in this particular case, I think, and this is the part, I think that taxpayers' money piece is the big part of it. And look, and look, here's the thing, and I'm saying for us as Black folks in this country, we can't talk about somebody's character on the other side, but then when we have character defects, when we have shortcomings, we try to be like, well, everybody makes mistakes. You see what I'm saying? Like that's just like either we're going to be held up to the same standard of character. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm just saying in general, right? I'm talking about we are supposed to be the folks that saying like, look, this doesn't happen. Because what do you tell the next generation of district attorneys and prosecutors, Black district attorneys and prosecutors, who now is seeing this, who's in law school, right? What do you say to them? Well, this person was prosecuting Donald Trump, so therefore they should get a pass? They shouldn't be punished? Or they shouldn't be scrutinized or criticized? Like, what do you say to the next generation of legal minds on how to handle your power and how to handle the responsibilities of your office? What do you say to them?
Well, this is true.
I mean, I'm serious. I'm not trying to. I'm being serious because I'm conflicted too. I'm like, damn. Like honestly, that's how I feel. I feel like, damn.
Yeah, like damn. Like this is just another,
But see, this wasn't a slip up. See, that's the only thing. This wasn't a slip up. This wasn't, and that's the part about it. Because I don't think, based upon the reports, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong with this, y'all. Based upon the reports, when she assigned that man to this case, the next day he filed for divorce. So that means they had already had an ongoing conversation or whatever. Now, the nature of the divorce and all of that, he could have been separated from his wife. So that doesn't carry much weight for me. They could have been living separate lives for a long time, and then he finally did the paperwork. So I'm not tripping about that. But I'm just simply saying that it's the optics of everything. It just comes across as like, damn, man. Like you can't, like what we struggle with good character in Black America because of the taint of what white America has done to us, right? We struggle with that, and I see that, and I know that we struggle with that because we use the metric of, well, if white people can do it, then we should be allowed to do it. And that's a real struggle for a lot of us in this country as Black folks.
I think everyone uses that metric, Farajii. I'll push back on there a little bit. I don't think everyone uses that.
I don't think everybody
they do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
We should be. That's how it should be. But unfortunately, we've suffered the consequences too many times to know that we can't.
And I'm just saying forgiveness. We forgive her that transgression.
Let's not crucify the lady.
Because she did not do anything to hinder the case, to hurt the case. That was not, I don't believe that was her intention. So I think we need to move past this and let's focus on the big picture, which is the case that.
Yeah.
So we're saying that is
the proof too. We gotta get the proof. She admitted, but I mean, we need to see the proof first, and we need to clarify who.
Well, if she admitted, I mean, what other proof is it? If you say you did it, you said you did it. Like,
yeah, but I mean, because I'm not saying it's not serious, but how is this going to be moving forward? Are they going to assign someone else? Like, what's the next step?
But that's what I think. That's what needs to be determined. I think that's what needs to be determined. Now, again, I think these are two separate issues. I don't think that they related to anything, except in the fact of it's and Kimberly, tell me if I'm wrong with this, but it's hard for me to believe that when you see an opportunity like this come up, right? as the district attorney and you need a prosecutor, she chose actually three. She chose two other folks along with Mr. Wade in this case, right?
Right.
But why didn't you just choose a third person and not even brought him into the situation? I mean, seriously. That way, this don't even have to be an issue. And something tell me you can't tell me that it was just like it wasn't the top of her mind. Like, you mean to tell me out of all the prosecutors that she knows, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would ask her, like, Madam District Attorney, why didn't you just choose someone else? Because then now you open yourself up to being unethical. You open yourself up to poor judgment. You open yourself up to possibly losing this case, one of the biggest cases in American history, and one of the biggest cases in Georgia. And you open yourself. Why didn't you just choose somebody else? Is it because of the money? Does it because, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at all these questions that are being brought up.
Right.
Well, like we said, damn, but we got to go to break.
Right. We got to. Let's go to break. Let's take a quick pause. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Man, oh man, a lot of new voices in here because Corinna, Denise, and Kimberly Morrow decided that today was going to be the day to bring all the smoke. All right. Let me just share with folks, because I know folks will say, well, what about what we have to say, Farajii? Mala, right. Mala. What did you say, Mala? Farajii, you are working yourself on this one. You cannot tell Nathan how to spend his money. The more you hype the story, the more you fall for the distraction.
The okie dokie.
Sorry, Farajii.
Okay. I don't mind taking the hits, but look, trust and believe that this is going to be weaponized. Trust and believe this is going to be weaponized.
Well, you know.
Do we? No. Hold on. Corinna, you said we know. No, seriously, do we? Because we've seen people go down for less.
I mean, I think that's why you're seeing the reactions you do in the chat, right? And why there's such an uproar and upset, because we know that the opposition is just looking for any opportunity to blow it up. And unfortunately, this is true. So it's like, damn, it sticks even more, right? So I think that's what has everyone on edge. You know.
Do you feel like? Let me ask you this. Let me ask y'all this. Do you think she served herself up on a silver platter with this one?
I need more information. I don't want to. You know, I'm transparent. I'm gonna tell you if I know, if I don't know, or if I need to learn more about it. You know, I want to speak with wisdom on the matter. I don't want to just put things out there. So
okay, Kimberly, do you think she served herself up on a silver platter?
You know, I support my sister, but I do think
I support it too.
She took some missteps on this one. Yeah, she did. I'm not gonna. Yeah, she did.
She kind of stepped on a landmine a little bit, right?
I would say she took
a little bit. And look, trust me, and I don't get, and for anybody that may be confused, I don't get no joy out of talking about the sister. Again, I tell y'all, I'm from Baltimore. I am from a place where we've had 3 Black women going down for making unethical decisions. 3. Marilyn Mosby, Sheila Dixon, and Catherine Pugh. If you don't know who they are, and these were, Marilyn Mosby was our former state's attorney. Sheila Dixon and Catherine Pugh were our mayors. I'm from that city where those type of issues came up, right? Catherine Pugh was selling books and creating this whole scheme for money as mayor. Sheila Dixon had an issue because of a relationship that she had that led to her getting some unsolicited gift cards, and that was the fall of her. I'm from that same place, y'all. So I've seen Black women getting caught up in these moments of weakness, which we all have. But we do got to understand that from a public servant, public office perspective, it's like you stepping on a landmine. You gotta, and I hate to say it, but you gotta cross your eyes, dot your I's and cross your T's. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't even do it all perfectly, there is still you still have to make sure, like, if I do this, is it going to cause this type of blowback?
I guess my thing too is, like, let's acknowledge it, and we still need to move forward in the sense of, I still need this case to happen. Like, that's where I stand with it. And let's be honest, aside from
in a red state, here's the thing, in a red state, Corinna, in the red state of Georgia, let's talk the politics about this. In the red state of Georgia, come on, talk to me, y'all. Y'all know this is warfare.
Aside from all the violence and this of what's happening, they're trying to get this thrown out altogether. So it's not going to stop at, oh, it's just not appropriate for her to be over this case. They're trying to rid of it altogether. And so that's where I'm saying we have to be very clear about what is happening here. We need this case to still happen, whether it's Fani or somebody else. It still needs to happen. So I think we just need to be vigilant of that here. We can't lose sight of that and understand what the end game is, that unfortunately these things with her and Mr. Wade turned out to be true. They want to rid of the case altogether. So we can't get so caught up now and what she admitted to, that while we're so caught up crucifying her and tearing her down, the case is about to be over and done with. So that's all I'm saying.
Who do you think Kimberly will tear her down? You think it'll be Black folks, or will it be the powers that be in the state of Georgia?
I think it'll be the powers that be in the state of Georgia, but I feel like Black folks have a wonderful opportunity to step up and support her. So what I said was, I'm not saying that we're tearing her down, but I don't hear us racing to her support as well. I don't hear her being vocal. I don't see the posts where people are, I stand with Fani. So that's what I would like to see more of. I like to see us do that. I like to see us take this sister and say, okay, she did that. We're going to forgive her. We want her to get this win with this court case. And I really believe we need to support her right now, because again, what she did is not enough to get the case dismissed. The allegation does not stand the sniff test. Under Georgia law, that is not going to pass enough. So we need to support her. We need to stop being distracted by this grift, this game that the other side is trying to pull on us right now. And we really need to stand with her and let her take this case forward. Now, Wade, on the other hand, I think it would be good for the optics' sake if he resigned. That's just my 2 cents.
So you're saying that he should resign and she stays on the case, which it sounds like it could be a good compromise, a good alternative, right? But he should resign.
That way the optics look good. I think he should step down.
Yeah.
There's somebody else in there. That way we're not distracted by the two of them. We can move forward with this case.
Janelle, you checked in and said the metric being used against her is that she's supposed to be perfect, and then they still find a way to belittle her. The stereotype of a Black woman's sexuality as abnormal is winning. Here's my only pushback. If she would have not brought the man on the case, and we wouldn't have even been talking about this.
We would have been talking about something though. Might not have been this.
Not about her personal relationship. If she would not have assigned, listen, look, I'm just saying, Corinna, if she would not have assigned Nathan Wade to this case, we would not have been talking about her sexuality, nor, as Janelle said, her being perfect. If she did not assign him to the case.
I'm gonna push back on that, Farajii. And when we come back, I'll tell you why I'm gonna push back on that.
All right, push back. Bring the smoke, Kimberly. I love it. I'm serious. Like, I don't mind it. Let's bring the smoke. But I don't think if he wasn't on the case, I don't think that this would have been a discussion. Folks, we gotta take another pause. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Woo! Welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. I should have worn a fire department suit or something, a hazmat suit, boy. Woo!
You should already
y'all want to go in on me. Y'all want to roast me. That's cool, baby. Make sure you get the other side too. Just make sure you season both sides. That's cool. Let's do it. All right. So very quickly, Kimberly, you said that I said that if she didn't bring him onto the case, we probably wouldn't have this. And this is why. And I want y'all to ride with me on this example. Then, Kimberly, I would love to get your take. There's the moment in the movie American Gangster, and this is based on the true retelling of the story of Frank Lucas. He said that one of the biggest mistakes of his life that when he went to that boxing match with the fur coat on, sitting in the front row, and that started the beginning of the end for him, because it was that moment where those agents who were watching him were watching to see who was moving doing all this drug stuff. It was that moment that they said, well, who is that guy up front? Now, here's the point that I'm making. Sometimes you can put yourself in a position and your thinking could be, I'm not going to get caught. Nobody is going to know, all of those things. And when you are caught up in a situation, that is very possible. Each one of us can probably recall a moment, and I'm thinking of myself too, where we didn't think, oh, this is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The likelihood is not going to happen. And you have a Frank Lucas moment where it happens that you're put on somebody's radar, right? And knowing that this is a red state, knowing that this was a high profile case, it could have been somebody in her own office that could have gave that information to Mike Roman. It could have been somebody who didn't even like her. You see what I'm saying? Who knew about her situation? Because how did he find out? He just didn't. I mean, how would you have known that?
Probably threatened somebody to give him the information.
He could have, but it could have been somebody dropped a dime on her, as they say in the streets. But I think that if she wouldn't have brought him on, that this wouldn't have been possible. All right, Kimberly, what's your take on that?
All right, and this is where I said I was going to push back. First of all, you're comparing Frank Smith to Fani Willis. He was a criminal. They were looking for him. So they were trying to figure out who he was. Now, with Fani Willis, this is why I said I'm going to push back. Because remember when I shared my story? So I'm gonna put it in that context. I always ask myself, well, dang, well, maybe if I wouldn't have called in sick that day, maybe if I just would have pushed through and just went to work and then not called in sick, maybe that wouldn't have happened. That was going to happen regardless. Whether I called in sick that day, they were going to find something on me, some reason to put me under investigation, some reason to go after me because I was already on their list. I already wasn't doing what they wanted me to do.
Right.
You follow me? I was trying to support the kids at the school. They wanted me to go in a different direction. Fani is already on their list. She's already doing something that don't happen. They are going to find something, whether it was Wade, whether it was something else, they were looking for something. She literally would have to, even if something that they found was nothing, they were gonna make it into something. So that's why I said I'm gonna push back on that.
Okay, but see, now I'm a little confused on this, on your understanding of what you just said. If you know somebody is coming for your neck, do you give them the knife?
No, you don't give them the knife.
If you know they're going to come after you, why would you see what I'm saying? We don't know what's happening behind the scenes or behind closed doors, right? When she initially took this case, we know that Trump plays dirty, his people play dirty. So you already know that, right? So you know that. So if you know that, again, I'm going back to, and I feel like we're just kind of like, glossing over the fact of why would you even why would you make a decision to put your lover on a case if you know they're coming after you and it could potentially be used and weaponized against you?
Well, Farajii, to your point right there, do we know if they were romantically involved prior to him being assigned to the case? Do we know that to be true?
I have to look at the timeline. They've been together. They've been dealing with each other since 2022.
Okay.
The case started in January, I think in January of 22. So either way, she assigned him to the case. But if you know that somebody's after your neck, wouldn't you kind of like move in a little bit of a stealth manner, kind of move under the radar, like, all right, I don't want to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because something had to happen. There was a reason that she felt like, you know what, let me put Nathan on this case. Maybe Nathan is going through some financial reasons.
We don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know. Is it a matter that he was assigned to the case and then they got romantically involved later on? I'm not saying.
No. I don't think that's the case. The ex-wife, and this is getting like a soap opera. So go ahead, Kimberly.
Farajii, it looks like they started dating in 2022, but he started working in 2021. So he started working the case and then they started dating.
Okay.
Does that change it a little bit for you?
It does, because it will change if in terms of the timeline of when the beginning of the relationship started, it changes the motivation. So if that's the case, that's the case. But my point is, again, if you know that they're coming after you, even if after the case was assigned to him, they started getting romantic, they started getting a little close, she might have could have said, hey, look, man, we getting close, we intimate. Maybe you fall back a little bit on this. I get somebody else to do it because this thing could get out of hand. It could blow up in our face. I mean, you mean to tell me, and I think Dwayne, we got so many people in the chat, but I think Dwayne checked in, Dwayne Johnson, I think his last name is. And he was like, you mean to tell me as a lawyer, he asked the question, you mean to tell me as a lawyer that you are unaware of all of these different dynamics at play? I can't, she's a brilliant woman. So I can't believe that. I can't believe she just had like, I didn't know. Like, you're a district attorney. You are running one of the largest racketeering cases against one of the most controversial men on the planet. You mean to tell me you didn't like? Come on, y'all. Come on,
maybe it should have been like, wait, let's. I got to take down Tangerine Tyrant first, and then, after.
I'm gonna be. We can only speculate what she thought.
Yeah.
We can only speculate what she thought, right? But I think for us as Black folks in this country, we do have to understand that, yes, there's a double standard, but two, that when it comes to character development, right? Like we can't, and I'm saying this including myself, like if we're going to get further along, and not for the sake of white America or for the sake of America, for the sake of ourselves and for the sake of our children and those coming behind us, we do have to hold ourselves accountable for these things, right? I feel like at this moment, folks want to rush through and say, okay, she did it, but let's get back to Trump. It's like, yo, she did this, and it could really pose a risk to this case. I'm sad. I'm disappointed by this, y'all. I'm serious. I'm disappointed by
need this right now. We really
no, hell no, we ain't need this right now. Hell no. And guess what? Because we're dealing with folks who don't play by the same rules, they may kick her off of this case. They may say, you know what? We need to retry this case because they don't say play by the same rules. And guess what? We got to eat that as Black Americans because we're not in power in Georgia.
At the end of the day, it does give them an opening for field play, and it's just unfortunate. So yeah, damn.
All right, let me go back to what folks are saying. Man, oh man, this is Boza Blick. You said definitely not a good look. Yvette, she knows there's a double standard. She let her freaking ego get in the way. Ooh.
I don't know if it was ego. And are you making an opinion, Yvette? I'm just
say it again, Corinna.
And I'm just saying, is that an informed opinion? I mean, the news just broke. Like I said, I'd like a little bit more detail to speak wisely on the matter. Like we're throwing out ego and all of this stuff, and that could be the case. But here's where I take issue. Let's have the same energy on the other side, because I don't know if we were this riled up when the attack first started without the information about.
I think, and here's people are saying, Tiz, you checked in. Tiz, you said Farajii, all of this noise plays right into Trump's hands. And he's loving it. And guess what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care. I don't care. Because in this particular noise, Tiz, and I understand what you're saying, but in this noise is an opportunity for us to have some very deep conversations about Black folks in power in America, right? That we're talking about the double standard issues. We're talking about character, making good and sound decisions. Like we gotta have these conversations. I think a lot of the partisan talk is like, as long as you get somebody down from the other side, and then we're around, we galvanize around people just because they are fighting the good fight, quote unquote. But at the same time, I'm wondering, don't we need to be having conversations about character? Because again, I come from Baltimore. I've seen this before. We've seen this on a national level with so many Black people in power that when we get into power and positions of influence, we start to move like we can move like that. And then when we get our asses on fire, now we want to kind of like, oh my gosh, what happened? This ain't fair and stuff. And it's like, come on, y'all. Come on, man. Come on. Like, we keep doing this, and then we acting like we're going to expect something different as the outcome. And that's insanity to me.
I get where you're coming from. I understand your point.
Good point, yeah.
Revonda Lynch, you said, thank you. Let's get the facts. If she admits it, I don't need any more details. That's just how I stand. If you said you did it, I don't need to know no more details. Because when did this happen, Kimberly? I mean, this part of the revelation, I think this been like 2 weeks, at least 2 to 3 weeks, right? That we've been talking about this.
Right.
2 to 3 weeks. When she first came out, when this came out, she didn't make no statement and saying, look, I denied this. Me and Nathan Wade never had this. She never said that. She went to the church. She said she has fallen short of the glory of God, but she did not say, she did not have a denial of the relationship. Now the heat is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And now she was compelled to make this acknowledgement, right? And it's like, it's just sad. And I think emotionally, we're all just trying to figure this, we're trying to process this because we've seen this so many times. We're like, damn, man, we make a little game and then our own shortcomings, our own foot can get into the way. And even if it's a small foot, it's still a foot. We could still trip yourself up.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take another pause, and when we come back, let's switch gears because I think we all need a mental break. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now. We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of the conversations. And who did I just see posting this? This is my sister. Who is this? Yvette? Yvette, thank you. Because I posted in the chat that even if we disagree with me, I'm so glad that folks are here. I'm glad that we're having a conversation. We needed to, and we still need to. Yvette, you said this is what we're supposed to do, agree to disagree. Right. Exactly. And I think I want to bring my sisters back, Renee Denise, who is a political activist and college admissions advisor, my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is an educator. So we can agree to disagree. And I think many of us, we're going to just see how this thing plays out over these next few days. And by the time, God willing, we come back next Friday, we're probably going to be in a different space with all of the information. So
I'll have your hazmat suit next week.
I might need one. Might need security too,
Might
because you
need-
be like,
yeah.
because watch black folk gonna blame me. Be like, see, you messed up the election in South Carolina.
We're gonna blame Farajii, y'all.
I can handle it. All right, let's talk about something that y'all both two are passionate about, which is talking about education. Of course, this is Black History Month, and Kimberly, you brought this much to my attention, and I think it's an excellent point about the fact of where we are. That outside of that particular case, that we are in a space where many teachers, and Corinna, you can attest to this as well, that many teachers are in a little bit of a conundrum as to how to move forward this month in teaching Black History Month. So we're calling this segment Afraid to Teach Black History, because now we know that there is an attack on our history. Kimberly, what's your take on this idea that you have in a number of different states? And I want to throw it up here very quickly. I want to put up give us some context. Let's put up quote 1 for this one, please. But there are new laws in at least 14 states and various restrictions elsewhere, or the threat of them are leading many teachers to simply mention important figures in Black history without getting into the racism they face. They cannot talk about the systemic racism. They cannot connect the dots of how racism then is still leading to racism now. But the other part of it, in all, lawmakers in 30 states have proposed new restrictions during the past year on what schools can teach about the nation's racial history. Kimberly, what do you make of this? How can a teacher not feel afraid to teach Black history during this month?
This is a tough one because people's jobs are actually in jeopardy. There are some curriculum that can be used. The Zen curriculum is one of them, which is a little bit more teacher and student friendly, but staying away from the topic of racism, that's a tough one. One of the things that I would recommend teachers do, I would recommend they go to the ASLH.org website, ASALH.org website, and it talks about what the theme for Black History Month is every year. And this year, the theme is a little friendly for teachers who want to teach Black history. It's celebrating African American artists, past, present, and future. So perhaps allowing them an opportunity to celebrate these artists, and then recommending to students to do further research as opposed to them bringing it up themselves. And I'm talking about the teachers that are in those school districts where they have their thumb on their necks, where anything that they can do could possibly get them to lose their job.
Corinna, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I agree with Kimberly. Like it's really tough right now because your livelihood is on the line, right? It's like, it's back to what we were saying in the last segment. We got to cross our T's and dot our I's, right? And, it's unfortunate because they can't go in depth and really unpack some of the things in these lessons, because then you're going to be accused of, oh my goodness, teaching critical race theory, which is not even taught on a K through 12 level. So it's really unfortunate because now it's tied to, oh my gosh, am I going to get fired? Being a teacher is hard enough. You're overworked, underpaid. You're spending out of your own pockets. We have these outrageous book bans, but I think Kimberly made a great suggestion is, at the very least, maybe pointing the students in the direction, objectively, here's, if you'd like to learn more, here are some things you can do on your own outside of the classroom. And I also want to tie back in the parents. We have to also remember that just because this history, unfortunately, is going to look different in schools, it has always been. Let's just be honest here, because we've never taught it to its fullest capacity. But even with these book bans, Farajii, like, we still have access to the books. Maybe not in the schools, maybe not in some of our public libraries, but you can still purchase them. So I think that that's just another way. Now, unfortunately, it's risky for a teacher to be like, oh, hey, we can't teach it in class, but I can give you the list of some books, because God forbid a child gives that to their parent, that's going to start something all over again, right? And cause outrage and upset. But I think there is a roundabout way to, inform kids, like, you can learn more. You can, of course, this is a foundational aspect here in the classroom, but you can always take it upon yourself to go and learn more about Black history if you want to, expand about that and become more knowledgeable. So I think teachers are going to have to get really creative, because it's just going to have to be like a fine balance into, protecting your job. It's just so unfortunate and jacked up, if I can just say that, that we're fearful of teaching our own history. But yeah, it's bad. And I'm in Florida, so
yeah. Your governor, he off the chain right now in Florida.
Well,
he's really off the chain.
He just happens to occupy the governor's mansion, but I don't claim it.
Oh yeah, I understand. But here's the thing, though, Corinna, and I know you're gonna have to jump off in a moment. But here's the thing, like in terms of fighting back against this. Like, I'm in LA, so our primary is March the 5th. The political season is already upon us. What can Black voters do? You know what I'm saying? Is there anything that we can do, you think, right? It's a situation where we're just going to have to kind of work on it for next year, because I was trying to figure out, like, what's the recourse politically that Black voters have at this point.
I think what we can do, especially when in an election year, we need to become more vigilant. Well, I mean, more visible, should I say, right? Like I mentioned last week, there's some community meetings coming up in my area where the school board is going to be talking about different changes and getting suggestions from the community. I think it's important that we are present at those meetings. Parents becoming more involved in the schools. We have to fight back too, because while we're upset, what are we doing to push back and show our visibility? Those who are against us teaching this history, they're showing up to the meetings, right? They're showing up to the school. They're raising the questions. They're meeting with administrators and teachers and the like. And we have to do the very same thing, right? To show that we're not going to stand for this, but it has to be a consistency of showing up and showing out and being in those spaces while we're trying to push back against these things. If we don't, then we're just going to see more of the same. And ultimately, we want things to change. But in the meantime, while we're fighting back, we still got to teach the history. And if they're not doing it in school, we got to get creative and do it some other way, right? So even if that means teacher, outside of the classroom, other organizations, other ways, or maybe just talking to parents, depending on who it is, like, hey, here are things, if you would like, they're available to you, right? So it's like just being very strategic and careful to kind of disseminate information without crossing that line, which it really shouldn't be crossing a line. Let's be honest here. But unfortunately, that's what we have to work with. But I think especially we have to gather, like I mentioned last week, just like those Moms for Liberty, okay?
Yeah.
Show up at the meeting. Where are our parents in our community, right? Where is the village that it takes to raise our children? We need to be showing up and being in these spaces to push back on these egregious actions, because it's ridiculous. Our teachers shouldn't be fearful. You're fearful to teach Black history, and you're fearful that someone's going to come in and shoot you. It's ridiculous.
And given that, very quickly before we take our next pause, Kimberly, given that you are a homeschool advocate, and so many people I've heard, so many Black people I've heard, whether they're part of the crew or just in real life, I've heard so many folks say it's time for us to go to the homeschooling option. But can you break that down for us? And I know it's a big discussion, but is that a viable option at this moment? That we say, okay, if they, going back to what Corinna said, we're in a space where we can't teach our history, and connecting the dots and talking about the connectedness of racism from then to now. If we're in a space where our children aren't getting the resources, if they got to go through shooter drills, why am I going through all of this? I can keep my child at home and be safe and know that they're going to be covered. What's your take on that homeschooling conversation? Especially when you have some districts like in Baltimore and Los Angeles, they have thousands, 80, 90, 100,000 kids, 100,000 children in these districts.
Oh, homeschooling is definitely an option. I encourage it.
Of course.
I have a number of parents who prefer it. Now, it is definitely for parents that are planning to be proactive with their children's education. There are parents that I work with. I strictly work with their students online. So they still have to make sure that their students are going to be signing in, are getting the work done. I have some parents that simply, they are their child's teacher. I'm just the umbrella and they do everything. So it really just depends on your level of ability to commit to your child's education. But you can definitely, I recommend obviously I recommend the homeschooling route.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's something worthy of discussion.
Yeah, you have more control over the curriculum, over what your child is learning, and how much time you're able to spend. None of the, okay, we have to be finished with this. We can only spend 2 weeks on this because we're going to be tested on this, at the end of the month. So you can actually spend time with your child working on things that matter to them and that are important for you, as a family. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Our school, we are actually going to be sharing some Black History lessons over this month. So if you wanted to visit our YouTube or our Facebook page and get more information, you can definitely do so.
Go ahead and put that out real quick, Kimberly, before we take our next pause.
Okay, it is dlmacademy.org.
dlmacademy.org.
Yes, that's the website. That's the website address. And then the Facebook page is Doris L. Morrow Academy, and the YouTube page is Doris L. Morrow Academy.
There it is right there. We got to take a quick pause, but we will have to let our sister Corinna Denise go. Corinna, thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a pleasure. Always love to exchange smoke with fire with you on Fridays, Corinna.
Thank you. And if I may, real quick, I just want to say we got to also come up with some creative options for our parents and students who can't do the homeschooling. So we just got to keep that in mind. But yeah, it's always fun to spar with you. And real quick, Kimberly, I see we're twinning today with the white blazer and the black. Yeah. It would have been more fun if Farajii had the hazmat.
I knew it was coming. I was waiting. I was like, here it comes. 3, 2, 1. Here's the smoke. Here's the smoke. Corinna Denise. You too, Corinna. Hey, Corinna, we'll check back in with you because, of course, tomorrow is the big primary election in South Carolina. We will see how Black folks will turn out for this particular primary. So we'll have a lot to discuss next week, God willing. My sister Corinna Denise, make sure y'all follow her on all of her social media platforms under Ren84. And she's doing some fantastic work of political organizing and, more importantly, getting young people into colleges and helping families make that transition. So, Corinna, thank you so much for being so good for the culture.
Thank you for having me. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation on the other side, talking about some school issues and so much more. So stay with me. If you've enjoyed the conversation, make sure you do your due diligence. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app, follow us on social media, and also follow me. You can follow me. If you still got more to say about me, about anywhere we stand on any of these conversations, I would love to hear it, actually. You can follow me at The Real Farajii on Instagram. Again, at The Real Farajii on Instagram, at Farajii on Twitter, and at Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. And of course, stay tuned. We got a lot more coming at you right here on The Culture, here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. And I still got my sister Kimberly Morrow with me. We still got my sister with me. There we go. Yep. As we continue to talk about some things related to some education. And I think that, Kimberly, as we have this part of the conversation, right, like we cannot lose sight of the fact that we actually have to still fight for this stuff. Right, that we still have to not let up the gas on this. And even though there's the homeschooling option is a viable option, even though, as Corinna was mentioning, talking about some level of political activism and organizing, we have to be fully engaged in this whole process. And that's the thing, you know, when we were talking in the previous conversation about Fani not being distracted, we can't lose sight of the fact that our children are going to a place of institutions, learning institutions, and they're not actually learning about certain things that we were privy to when we were children, when we were young, right? And then imagine going through high school. You know, first you're going through elementary school, then you go to junior high, then you go to high school. And by the time you get to high school, you just learning about the Black Panther Party, but that's even contingent upon whatever school district you're in. You may never learn about the Black Panther Party or the Black Power movement in your school, because some people, whoever the administrators, would deem that as racist.
And you know, Farajii, the crazy thing is the reason Carter G. Woodson started, you know, first started out as Negro History Week, and then it ended up evolving into Black History Month, was because it wasn't being taught year round. And so his mindset or the idea was, if we start doing it for a week, we'll do this until the schools are teaching it. It's just a part of the natural curriculum. So we don't have to take a month off to celebrate Black history. It's something that is embedded in the curriculum. And the sad part is that never happened. That is why we are still celebrating Black History Month, because the other 11 months during the school year, it's not taught. It's Black people show up in history at certain times. I taught U.S. history, so I know this. Right? We show up during slavery. That's the first time we show up. And then we show up again during, sometimes recently, we started showing up during the 1920s, during the Harlem Renaissance. They would put that in there. But then we wouldn't show up again until the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. And why are we only showing up at certain times in these textbooks when we should have been there all along, right? I didn't learn about Crispus Attucks until I was in Boston attending Harvard. My daughter went to Crispus Attucks daycare. That was the first time I had ever even heard of Crispus Attucks.
Wow.
I was in graduate school.
Right.
How did I not know this guy? And so it's really sad that the reason Carter G. Woodson started Black History Month, we are still to this day, we are still only talking about the same few people.
Yep.
We only, it's always Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, we should talk about him. And then it's Malcolm X, and then it's Rosa Parks. It's always the same few people that we talk about. And Carter G. Woodson wanted us to talk about, there's so many other people for us to acknowledge, and we don't acknowledge those people. So I would like for it to get to a point where we don't have to set aside a month to teach Black history, but we are teaching it all year long. It's just a natural part of the curriculum.
I love that. I absolutely agree. Belinda Mitchell checking in from our from YouTube. She said, this is an all hands on deck matter when it comes to teaching our Black children history. It's an all hands on deck. I feel like there are a lot of issues that we could be talking about when it comes to Black children in school. But I feel like this rises to the top for me, Kimberly, because I feel like now this is not just this is not just warfare. This is not just battling, this is war. Because you're not empowering those students, right? You're not helping us. I mean, like you said, Black history is so integrated into American history. It's very, very hard to even have a conversation about American history without talking about the experiences and the impact and the contributions of Black people. If it's not just hard, it might be damn near impossible. You can't talk about America getting into becoming an independent sovereign nation without talking about Christmas Attic and the Tea Party and talking about the American Revolution and all of those things. Like, you can't talk about these things. And what I found to be interesting in this particular article is that, and I want us to be clear on this, is that it's not just about necessarily saying that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a civil rights leader. It's not about that. But it's about connecting the dots for young people to talk about racism, sexism, talking about the trials and the struggles of Black women. It's talking about, connecting the dots. And I think that is, now you're playing with the critical thinking of children to help them to see and have a more accurate context on the world that they live in. That's the part that I'm more concerned about, to be honest, Kimberly. It's not just like, oh, okay, who is Sojourner Truth and who is Harriet Tubman or who is Dr. Benjamin Banneker? It's not just about knowing this stuff. It's like, wait a minute. Well, why did slavery happen, right? It's like the same moment that we saw with Nikki Haley, presidential candidate Nikki Haley, when the question was asked, well, what was the reason for the Civil War? And you go all around the barn instead of just saying slavery. And so when people can't connect the dots of history, then that's when I think now we're playing with real fire here. What's your take on that?
Well, I thought it was pretty funny when she did that, but you know what? I wasn't even really mad at her when she did it. I taught in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I had to teach, the North Carolina standards. And so what they said, the 5 causes of the Civil War were, it listed a lot of different things, but it didn't outright say slavery. So I really was not surprised when she said that. It's like, okay, duh, of course it's slavery. But even when I was teaching it in North Carolina and they told us the way we should teach it, I was like, this doesn't say slavery. It actually said states' rights.
Right.
They wanted us to teach it. It was about states' rights. But then I would further tell the students it was about the states' rights to own slaves.
Right.
So when she said that, given the fact that she's from South Carolina, I was not surprised that she said that. And when she said, of course, we learned that in school, I was thinking, did you really learn it in school?
Please.
I tell you, the way the South teaches the Civil War, it's as though they really believe the South was going to rise again. So I was not, literally was not surprised. I taught in South Carolina and I taught in Georgia. Georgia, I taught in Atlanta, so that was a lot different. But the Georgia state standards, it still goes by the 5 things, and it talks about states' rights. It doesn't say that one of the causes was slavery. It says states' rights. So
we have to be vigilant about the terminology because words matter. I know we were always taught sticks and stones break my bones, word can't hurt me. That's an absolute lie. That's a myth. Words matter, especially in the context of this. When you're talking about states' rights versus slavery, those are two different things. Exactly. Two different things. Exactly. You don't like my music. You said to me, you said saying slavery is CRT, apparently, Farajii. Absolutely, you don't like my music. I think you're right. You can't even use the term slavery, right? And even some of us as Black folks, we start to take on certain terminology within our culture, right? That you're like, wait a minute, where did that come from? Now, it's not a problem if you said, okay, that I know that there's been a big change in the language that we don't want to say slavery because we don't want to identify our ancestors as just being slave, but we say the term enslaved, right? And to give them their humanity and their identity. So I definitely understand that. But I'm not going along with this BS and talking about states' rights and freedom. Man, please. You can keep that for yourself. And you might as well just say, yeah, states' rights with alternative facts. Right. It just becomes this other thing. It just becomes, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, we will see. My hope is that teachers will find the creative way that I know many teachers will find the creative way to teach this. But even more importantly, I think you and Corinna have been emphasizing this point. As us as Black parents, we have to step into the gap. And I think that, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
And can I say this? It is not just important for our Black students to learn Black history. I taught at a predominantly white school my last couple of years teaching. It's just as important for white students, Latino students. It's just as important for them to know this history as well. So I really hope that especially if you are a Black person and you know white people, that you share this with them as well. Because with them taking Black history out of the, trying to take it out of the curriculum, it is also not giving information to the other students that need it just as well. When we would talk about certain things in my classroom, they would be shocked. They were like, wow, I didn't know that had happened. And I actually saw them open up and they really learned from these different experiences. I just think we're not just doing our children a disservice, but we're doing all children a disservice when we don't teach African American history in schools.
Amen, amen, amen to that. All right, we got to take another pause. When we come forward, let's talk about Black joy. Let's talk about some new data has come out to talk about what Black joy means to Black Americans. We're going to have that conversation. And I think it's a great way to end the week, but also to kick off Black History Month to talk about this. So we'll have that conversation with my sister, Kimberly Morrow, and with you right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is an educator, who is a speaker, and one of our new contributors here on The Culture. Let's end the show and end the week on a high note. And I came across a little piece of information, Kimberly, that I thought, you know what, this might be worthy of just a little acknowledgement, a little discussion. It's talking about Black joy. Now, folks, this is coming from Pew Research, where they have effectively and essentially, they have measured what it means to have joy as a Black American. Ooh, Black adults. They have found that Black adults have find joy in friends, faith, and travel. And for those who are high income earners, money, spending money. Spending money. Take a look at this. I want to share this a couple of pieces from this Pew Research. Take a look. Nearly 4 in 5 Black adults across all socioeconomic levels say they get a great deal or fair amount of joy or fulfillment from spending time with loved ones. 2/3 said the same for spiritual or religious practice, and over a half said the same for traveling. However, activities that can cost more, such as traveling or creating and experiencing the arts, can be difficult for lower income Black Americans to access. Let me go to I want to go through the second quote, and then Kimberly, I would love to get your take on this as well as you, crew. Take a look at this. Now, this is, again, coming from Pew Research. The study author is a sister by the name of Khadija Edwards. She said, quote, "This is part of our deep dive into the Black experience. And one of the things that we know about Black adults is that they have one of the largest intra-racial income inequality gaps." Now, data for the analysis came from two 2023 Pew surveys of 9,400 Black Americans on personal happiness and joy. According to Ms. Edwards, she said, "We want to understand how Black Americans are thinking about the American dream and what success looks like to Black people living in the United States. And we know that success is not just about financial achievements." What do you take of that? Do you agree with this this piece of research, Kimberly, that we find joy in friends, faith, and travel, and for those high end? You agree with that?
I absolutely agree. Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, working in the school system, we have the luxury of having summer break. And that was what I did every summer. I put my kids in the car and we would travel. We would do road trips from here to Georgia. I would drive from here to Georgia. So that meant we got to stop along the way. We would stop in Louisiana, see my daughter's grandparents, stay in Georgia, stay with families. I would get to see my friends. That was the best. That fueled me for the upcoming school year. It brought me so much joy, so much happiness, so much joy and happiness. I was able to go through the rest of the school year because I knew when summer came, we were traveling again.
You know what? And I feel you too. And you know what? And part of the reason why I think that I wanted to include this as part of the conversation today is because I don't think we really take the time to reflect on what brings us joy. I think that because of the culture of our culture within the Black community, but then I think just the overall culture in the country, we are always on the go. We are always moving. We're always thinking about the next thing. And that's always been emphasized. But taking the time to think about, well, what makes me happy? And I'm going to extend this question, crew. how do you find joy? And as Black folks in this country, we have to figure out we have to be very clear about how we find joy. Now, I think it's interesting that Pew Research even decided to even research this, Kimberly, because it just goes to show you that our experience, our essence, our livelihood, it's always under the microscope. Can you imagine a people that have gone through so much that we have gone through, and we're just kicking off Black History Month, thinking about all of the great, rich history and how we're still able to wake up and find a reason to smile every day. That's heavy. Whereas a lot of these factors, a lot of these conditions would probably break some people, right? We've seen it.
Yes.
You're talking about having no money. You're talking about facing, systemic racism and sexism. You're talking about having to deal with institutional bias and all of these things, but we can still see the silver lining, and that is so important. And that was one of the things that I got from this report, is that damn, we went through all of this, and we still can wake up, thank the Lord, find a reason to smile.
Exactly. And it's part of our culture. I think back to when I was a kid in the 70s, and that's exactly what we did. Our family, we grew up on a block where we would have barbecues, the neighbors would come over, we would have a good time. In the summertime, my dad would put us all in the station wagon. We'd drive down to Arkansas. We're spending time with family. On Sundays, we were going to church. So I think this is a part of our culture. Those three things, those three ways that we find joy, I truly believe that's a part of our culture. We love to be around family and friends, and we have our faith. And we do love to travel, even if it's
we do. Oh my God, we love some traveling, boy. We are some traveling folks.
We're gonna
we gonna get to traveling. And here's the other thing that I thought about too, Kimberly, as we wrap up. The other thing is, so many times, especially during this time of year with Black History Month, so many of us have made, and I don't think this is intentional, but I think that this is just part of the culture, that the Black experience is a quote unquote struggle. We use the term struggle a lot to describe our Blackness and what it means to live life as a Black person in this country. We talk about the struggle. And part of the role of this particular platform with this show is to have conversations about the diverse elements of life, right? We could talk about the serious things, but then we could talk about some of the lighter things. And I know, and I've been working in Black media for a long time, Kimberly, and it's like when the moment you start talking about something a little bit less than the hardcore heavy stuff, people start to log off. People start to walk away. They start to question why you talking about this. Because I think in our heads, we think that the only way that you are truly, truly Black is when you talking about the struggle. Right. And I want to push back on it. Especially during Black History Month. Our history is not rooted in pain and struggle.
Exactly. That's why I love this theme. African American artists, past, present, and future. That is joy. That is joy to look at this art, listen to this music, and read these books and see the film.
Right.
Bring some joy this Black History Month.
Right. Bring some joy. Now, we don't have to be completely we act as if the pain doesn't exist or act as if we haven't gone through some struggle. But I don't want us to keep it into our heads that is the prevalent element of our experience, that it's all about struggle, all about the pain, all about trying to get from under somebody's neck. It's all about oppression. Nah, man, I can't accept that. I can't accept that. I'm telling you, I can't accept it. If I want to talk about the football game, it's all the struggle of black. If we want to talk about movies, the struggle of black people and being a narrative being.
Or if we want to go dancing. Some music, yes. We have a well-rounded life, black people.
We do have to have the well-rounded life. And I think, you know, as we close out, I think it kind of goes back to that old saying that, you know, that serenity prayer, where you're like, you know what, there's some things that I can change that's out of my hands. But then for the things that I can't change, give me the power to change those things. But certain things, if it's out of your hands, what they say, what are we always taught, Kimberly? Let go, let God.
That's right.
Let go, let God, man. Like, you gotta live. You still gotta live. You still gotta enjoy. You still gotta smile. You still gotta laugh, right? Like, we you know, we are not where we want to be, but we are much further along where we used to be. And if we don't take the time to just recognize that and at least reflect on that, and to thank God for being in this new place that we find ourselves in, and showing gratitude and humility and more appreciation that we are blessed to wake up every day. We are blessed to come together, have conversations about the ups and the downs of our experiences. And then essentially we are able to be a part of a community. You know, some good stuff we're a part of. So, you know, I thought that this was like a very, very good part of the conversation. I said, you know what? Let's start Black History Month being grateful and thankful and finding joy in our experience of our Blackness. And I think that we'll get through the month very well. You got the final word on this, Kimberly.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I recommend everybody go out, enjoy this weekend, celebrate by listening to some good African-American music and looking at some beautiful African-American art. Have a great weekend.
There it is. There it is. My sister Kimberly Morrow checking in. Hey, Kimberly, what's your website once again, one more time, for those who are interested in homeschooling and learning about its viability?
DLMacademy.org.
There it is. Doris L. Morrow Academy. Look at that. Woo! Look at our little sister. She online and learning, y'all. Let's just put that one up there one more time. DLMacademy.org. Y'all can definitely check that out. My sister Kimberly Morrow serves as the prestigious and the esteemed principal of the Doris L. Morrow Online Academy. And it's an opportunity for your child to be enrolled in a curriculum that is keeping them in mind. So we really want to be supportive of that. But even if homeschooling is not a thing for you, you still need to be involved in your child's education to make sure that they get some joy out of that educational experience. So either way, we're going to keep on working. But Sister Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us on the show once again. And God willing, we'll see you next Friday. I appreciate you. And thank you for being so good for the culture.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend, Kim. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for all of you, the new watchers of the show. Y'all just came flooding in on the chat, and I truly, truly appreciate y'all. Big shout out to all of the crew that's on the X platform, the crew that's on the Facebook page, and the crew that was a part of the YouTube channel, the YouTube chat today. Can't get my words out, but I thank each and every one of you for joining us. Look, it is Black History Month. We're going and have a lot of great conversations. It's a month that we talk about the ups and downs, the histories, the trials and triumphs, all of those things. But guess what? We're going to be happy. We're going to celebrate our Blackness this month. Even though some of you say it's the shortest month of the year, I get it. But it's still an opportunity for us to learn and to grow and to celebrate. And that's exactly what we're going to do here on the Black Star Network. Go to our website today and check us out on all of the great conversations, all of the great content that we're putting out there at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network, and drop something in the bucket if you truly believe that this is the content that social media and that online, the web needs. If you are 100% behind us, you enjoy the conversation, the interactiveness of the conversation, we ask you to please put something in there and show your support for Black Star Network. Also, follow me on all social media platforms, as you can particularly find me at The Real Farajii on Instagram and on Twitter, on X platform at Farajii, and I would love to connect with y'all. Crew, thank you so much. On Monday, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what's going to be happening in South Carolina. If you're in South Carolina and you are eligible to vote, please go out and vote for this weekend's primary, and we'll certainly talk more about it. Stay tuned. Up next, 6 p.m. Eastern Time is Rolling Mart Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right, while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, and peace.